Chapter 8, Race Against Time. The day before Halloween dawned with an eerie stillness. Sabrina woke early, her mind already racing with the tasks that lay ahead. She found Noah in the kitchen, nursing a cup of coffee and poring over the witch's journal one last time. "Any new insights?" Sabrina asked, pouring herself a cup. Noah shook his head, frustration evident in his furrowed brow. "Nothing concrete, but there's a passage here that's bothering me. It mentions a convergence of energies at the moment the veil is thinnest. I can't help but feel we're missing something crucial." Sabrina leaned over his shoulder, reading the passage. The journal spoke of a moment when the barrier between worlds would be at its weakest, a perfect opportunity for the sealed darkness to break free. It hinted at a climactic event, a point of no return. "We need to find Mr. Thompson," Sabrina said, her voice tight with urgency. "He's the key to all of this. He must have known about this convergence." Noah nodded, standing up. "I've got my deputies discreetly canvassing the town. We'll find him, Sabrina. We have to." They spent the morning following up on leads, questioning townspeople under the guise of routine inquiries. The Halloween festival was in full swing, the streets crowded with revelers oblivious to the danger that loomed. As they worked, Sabrina couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. By mid-afternoon, they reconvened at the sheriff's office, both frustrated by the lack of progress. "There has to be something we're overlooking," Sabrina said, pacing the room. "Someone in town must know more than they're letting on." Noah was about to respond when his phone rang. His expression turned grave as he listened to the caller. "We'll be right there," he said, hanging up. "What is it?" Sabrina asked, her heart racing. "They've found something at the old Blackwood mansion," Noah replied, grabbing his jacket. Signs of recent activity. The Blackwood mansion, long abandoned on the outskirts of town, loomed before them as they pulled up. Deputy Miller met them at the gate, his face pale. "Sheriff, Miss Everhart, you're going to want to see this," he said, leading them around to the back of the property. There, hidden behind overgrown shrubbery, they found a cellar door that had been recently cleared of debris. Noah drew his weapon, nodding to Deputy Miller to open the door. The cellar was dimly lit by bare bulbs, revealing a scene that made Sabrina gasp. The walls were covered in arcane symbols, mirroring those found in the witch's journal. In the center of the room stood an altar, and tied to a chair beside it was Mr. Thompson. "George!" Noah exclaimed, rushing to untie the man. "Are you all right? Who did this to you?" Mr. Thompson, looking haggard but otherwise unharmed, shook his head weakly. "You don't understand," he croaked. "It had to be done, for the good of the town." Sabrina knelt beside him, her mind whirling. "What do you mean, George? Who's behind this?" Before Mr. Thompson could answer, a voice came from the cellar entrance. "I think I can answer that." They all turned to see Penny Holloway, the town historian, standing at the bottom of the stairs. But gone was her usual friendly demeanor. Her eyes blazed with an intensity that sent chills down Sabrina's spine. "Penny?" Noah said, disbelief evident in his voice. "What's going on here?" Penny stepped further into the cellar, her gaze fixed on the altar. "I couldn't let George go through with it. The old way, the way of sacrifice, it's not sustainable. I found a better way, a way to break the cycle once and for all." As Penny spoke, the pieces began to fall into place in Sabrina's mind. The strange occurrences, the threats, Mr. Thompson's disappearance, it all led back to the seemingly harmless town historian. "You're a Blackwood, aren't you?" Sabrina said, realization dawning. "You came back to Hallowville to reclaim your family's role in the ritual." Penny's laugh was hollow. "Clever girl. Yes, I'm a Blackwood. I've spent years researching, finding a way to end this curse without the need for continual sacrifice, and I've finally done it." Noah had positioned himself between Penny and the others, his hand on his holstered weapon. "Penny, whatever you're planning, it's not worth the risk. You're putting the entire town in danger." "You don't understand," Penny snapped. "The current method is failing. Each year, the seal weakens further. My way will bind the darkness permanently, but it requires a stronger initial sacrifice." Sabrina's eyes widened as she connected the dots. "The convergence of energies, you're planning to use the power of the Halloween festival to fuel your ritual." Penny nodded, a manic gleam in her eyes. "Precisely. The combined life force of the entire town, freely given in celebration, will be enough to seal the darkness forever." But you can't know that for certain, Sabrina argued. The risks are too great. If you're wrong, you could unleash something we can't control. For a moment, doubt flickered across Penny's face, but then her resolve hardened. It's a risk we have to take. I won't let generations more suffer under this curse. Noah took a step towards Penny, his voice calm but firm. I can't let you do this, Penny. We'll find another way, together. But right now, I need you to step away from that altar. Tension crackled in the air as Penny hesitated, her gaze darting between Noah, Sabrina, and the bound Mr. Thompson. Then, with a speed that belied her age, she lunged for the altar. Noah moved to intercept her, but Penny muttered something under her breath and an invisible force knocked him back. Sabrina rushed to Noah's side as Penny began chanting, her voice rising in an otherworldly cadence. The symbols on the walls began to glow, and a wind that shouldn't have been possible in the underground cellar whipped around them. Mr. Thompson strained against his bonds, shouting warnings that were lost in the magical maelstrom. We have to stop her, Sabrina yelled over the noise. If she completes the ritual before the proper time, there's no telling what might break through. Noah nodded, struggling to his feet. Together, they advanced on Penny, fighting against the mystical wind. Sabrina's mind raced, trying to recall a counterspell from the journal that might disrupt the ritual. Just as they reached Penny, a blast of energy knocked them all off their feet. The cellar fell silent, the glowing symbols fading to a dull flicker. Penny lay unconscious near the altar. Noah quickly moved to secure her, while Sabrina checked on Mr. Thompson. It's not over, Mr. Thompson said weakly as Sabrina untied him. What Penny started, it has to be finished, one way or another. The barrier between worlds is already weakening. Sabrina helped Mr. Thompson to his feet, her mind reeling from the implications. The Halloween parade, she said, turning to Noah. That's when Penny was planning to complete the ritual. It's our last chance to set things right. Noah nodded grimly, handcuffing the still unconscious Penny. We'll need to work fast. The parade starts at sundown. As they emerged from the cellar, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the overgrown Blackwood estate, the weight of their task settled heavily upon them. They had uncovered the identity of their antagonist, but the threat to Hallowville remained. I'll have my deputies secure Penny and keep an eye on things here, Noah said as they reached their car. We need to get back to town and prepare for tonight. Sabrina nodded, her mind already racing with plans. We'll need to modify the renewal ritual to account for what Penny's done, and we'll have to do it in a way that doesn't alarm the townspeople. As they drove back towards town, the Halloween decorations that had seemed so cheerful just days ago now felt ominous. The fate of Hallowville hung in the balance, and only Sabrina and Noah stood between the town and an unimaginable darkness. The sun was sinking towards the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple that mirrored the Halloween decorations adorning the streets. In just a few hours, the parade would begin, and with it, their final chance to prevent disaster. Sabrina reached out, taking Noah's hand as he drove. He squeezed it reassuringly, his eyes never leaving the road. No words were needed. They both understood the challenges that lay ahead and drew strength from each other's presence. As they pulled into town, the excited chatter of townspeople preparing for the parade filled the air. Sabrina and Noah exchanged a determined look. They had an antagonist to thwart, a town to save, and a curse to break.